everybody. Welcome into the NBA Front Office Show. It's Friday. You know what that means.
Front Office Friday! Let's go camping.
Let's go camping. That's right. I got the wrong watermark on there and everything. I don't care. Training camp is here. Let's go. I can't wait. I'm so excited that we are finally back. We've got guys going back to training camp. We've got all kinds of news coming out. Lots of stuff to talk about. Happy to see you all here on a Friday. Keith, this is just a great time of year. It's like we've finally made it. What a long off season the NBA had. The players may not agree, but it is a long off season and it's finally coming to an end.
It's very funny because I was talking with a couple friends of mine who cover baseball, and they were like, you guys are such babies. They're like, we finish in October and don't start anything meaningful until the tail end of February. They're like, there's no summer league. There's not like there's fall ball, but that's nothing compared to like summer league. So it's just like they're like, you guys whine and complain, and they're like, because you don't have like 2 months to work. And I'm like, hey, when you love ball, 2 months is a long time.
It's a long time. It's a long time to be without basketball, that's for sure. And even like Eurobasket to me was just kind of the appetizer. Like it was fun, there's no question, but it's just the appetizer. You know what I mean? It's just to get you excited, kind of hold you over a little bit. But now it's the real deal. Now we've got the NBA coming back. I am so excited. As we've said, we got a lot of stuff to get into, so that means put in your questions, your comments, all of that. And let us know what kind of stuff you want us to get into today. So if you're coming in from YouTube, coming in from X, happy to see you here. Please make sure that you do follow the show over on all platforms, whether that's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, of course, wherever. All right.
To shout out our international audience. Steve is tapping in from London, moved here this week. G'day, mate. Throw another shrimp on the barbie.
Bonjour.
Bienvenue.
All right. Let's go. Andrew says, I'm playing NBA 2K while listening. Front Office Friday. Let's go. That's right.
Love it.
Let's go.
Love it.
Let's go. Could the Clippers trade for Zion using all their assets before the investigation is done? So just so the league can't take any more assets away, trade everything that's not nailed down to go get Slim Zion. Have you seen the pictures of Zion Williamson, by the way, Keith? I'm sure you have.
Yeah, I have. I'm not again. Not again with the Clippers. Not again with Zion. I will need to be proven wrong now before I buy in again on the Clippers or Zion and the Clippers together. I'm out. I am very mad, and that's it. So, I'm just over it. But anyway. So this is a good question because there's a lot of people like, well, what can they do? They can only take picks away through 2032 because that's as far out as a team can trade them. That's actually not true. The league could go beyond 2032. 2032 is the 7-year max out limit that a team can trade a pick, but there's nothing that says the NBA couldn't go to 2033 and beyond to take picks away. As to the question, I guess in theory they could do that. The challenge is, while they do have a couple of picks freed up now to be able to be traded, they're not like sitting on a bunch of picks. And I don't even know that you would even need that for Zion. So I don't really know where to go with that one other than, but we'll just have to wait and see.
I mean, I would have to imagine to some degree the Clippers would stop and think, wait a minute, we've had Kawhi for the last 6 years now, whatever it is, and we've been dealing with his injury issues. Do we want to commit the next 5+ years to Zion Williamson, who's maybe the only more injured player than Kawhi Leonard? I don't know the exact injury numbers, but a similar situation, right? With all kinds of problematic injuries that he's having. Would the Clippers really want to sign up for that? Would it be a little bit sneaky to trade away whatever's not nailed down right now in order to avoid having it taken away? Yeah, but the NBA, they're creative. They'll come up with other stuff, other punishments and things of that nature, I would think. So, and that's if, of course, they're found to be guilty of some wrongdoing in this situation. And we don't know for sure exactly how that's going to go just yet.
Well, here with our buddy Ball confirmed last week. The fact that they haven't dumped their future picks yet should be a good sign that they think they won't get taken away. I don't know. Maybe I'm coping. Yeah, I think you're coping because I don't think there's. I just they've already made trades this year.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily going to do anything else until we get into the season. Anyway, this is a. Let's take all of everything aside, right? This is a good, deep Clippers team. And they have to be deep because they're older and they have injury concerns with Kawhi. Bogdan Bogdanovic is already hurt. James Harden has picked up some stuff over the last couple of years as well and missed some time. So it is, I think they're not they're not. That's really good English. Me, right? That's impossible. They're not making trades because there's not trades to be made right now. Pretty much everybody is sitting on, we've got what we've got, and we're moving forward with that. Oh, did I glitch out?
It was either me or you. I don't know which of it,
one of us
it was.
did.
I think we're okay now, though.
Yeah, it looks like we're back.
We're back. That was I think that was Adam Silver on the but we were talking a little too much about the Kawhi situation. And all of that, and he's like, "Yeah, we need to shut this down quick. Hit the button. Get these guys out of here."
I was basically just saying they're not making trades because there's not trades to be made right now.
Right.
Like that's why they're not making trades. It's not because of anything to do with the investigation or anything like that.
All right, let's go to this. I just want to give Keith a heads up. I think there may be a mistake with Jabari Smith on Spot Track. Says he is restricted this season. Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, I'll pull that up. What's going on with that, Keith?
Yeah, so he can't be. He's poison pilled. That's what the restriction is because he signed a rookie scale extension. So that should be what the restriction says. If it says something else, I'll take a look and we'll get it fixed. But that should be what that's related to. Yeah, so that's what the trade restriction is. Doesn't mean he can't be traded, just means he's poison pilled.
Okay, yeah. Well, it looks as though like maybe he can't be traded until because of the date that's on there that he wouldn't be able to be traded.
Yeah, that's when that poison pill would lift. So that's why. But yeah, anytime we have any form of trade restriction, you're going to see it show that way. We just don't want to clutter it with like 100 different icons.
Sure. All right. Can you speculate on Houston's starting lineup for fun? Well, I have a feeling that Kevin Durant guy is going to be involved. Alperen Sengun as well. Amin Thompson. What are they going to default to Reed Shepherd, do you think, at the starting point guard spot?
I think there's a chance. I think if he shows in the preseason and throughout camp that he is the best guy to start, sure. I am leaning towards. All right, so you hit the three that are locks: Durant, Sengun, and Thompson. Those guys are all definitely in there. Then I think we're looking at, all right, do they go with Dorian Finney-Smith? Do they go, and that would be a much bigger lineup. Do you go with Jabari Smith Jr., who has started before? Does Shepherd get in there? Does someone like Aaron Holiday or Josh Okogie come through as the more veteran guy for Ime Udoka to lean on? I think it'll be Durant, Sengun, Thompson, Jabari Smith, and then Reed Shepherd. That's
my pick as well.
Yeah, I think that's the most balanced lineup that they can put out there to start games, and it gives them more shooting on the floor and a little bit extra ball handling with Shepherd. Whereas if you go with like Finney-Smith and like Okogie or Holiday, you're putting a lot on Thompson and Durant to do a lot of the ball handling. And then Sengun obviously will be heavily involved as a playmaker in the half court.
Yeah, I'm in complete agreement. My pick was Reed Shepherd was the guy I'm slotting in at the one, and then Jabari Smith was the guy that I was going with. There, it's not a certainty though. It's not like some teams where you know what their starting lineup already is going to be. This is one where I think there can be some conversation here, some discussion on what exactly it'll look like. But that would be my guess. Will be Jabari Smith as well.
Let me go back to one real quick, and then we'll come back to Jetman. B says Derek White to the Rockets makes so much sense. Problem is, it's getting their salary matching wise, and Boston would need a very good package in return for Derek White. Like they're going to be like, we want some of those Nets and Suns picks you've got to make something like that happen. They're not going to be moving into a position where like they're looking to trade Derek White, and especially with the news that like Jason Tatum maybe returns this season, but even if it is next year, they want to have Tatum, Brown, and White as the core of the team when Jason Tatum gets back. So they'd need to be blown away to trade Derek White.
And they've got so many guys on the Houston Rockets, and so many guys that can't even be traded right now anyway. Right now. I mean, maybe we could talk about it midseason, but still a lot of guys that they can't be moved right now anyway. Is anyone going to pick up Ben Simmons? Seems like he doesn't want to play for a minimum. Well, Keith, I was talking about this the other day over on the Basketball Bulletin when we were talking about Russell Westbrook and the situations he is in. It's not like when we talk about Ben Simmons, we talk about Russell Westbrook. These are two guys who, should they be on NBA rosters right now? Yes. But these are also guys who have not been making veteran minimum money their entire careers or anything like that. These are guys who have made a lot of money over the course of their careers. So if the situation isn't exactly what they want, isn't the right spot, these guys aren't going to be hard pressed to wait for a little bit and say, okay, well, it's not ideal, but if I need to wait till midseason, I need to wait till midseason. That's not going to make or break them. So that, I think that's a factor here where money is not going to be a driving force here for Russ or for Ben Simmons to take a deal if it's a less than ideal opportunity.
Yeah, and the reality is neither one of them is getting more than the veteran minimum at this point. Yeah. That's all that's going to be offered to them. And then I think with Simmons, it's really a question of where does he want to play? What does he, what kind of role does he want to play? Is he going to insist that he plays a ton and starts and all these other things? So that's going to be kind of challenge one. I don't know. Did you see the report from in the middle of the week about the NBL is going to reach out to him, which is that's the league in Australia. Yeah. And they were basically like, hey, if you want to play and get yourself back in a very good competitive league, let's talk and we'll get you on a team over in Australia and we'll see. My guess is he's going to continue to look at NBA opportunities. He's had some interest from the Knicks and the Celtics and a couple other teams. But again, those are on vet mins. And like you said, him and Russ and most of the guys that are hanging out right now, unless it's like, I want a guaranteed spot being offered that's like fully guaranteed contract, they can afford to wait for a little bit and then pick a spot later if an injury or something comes up.
All right, let's go here. D-Rock. With a Nets question, what's the available salary dump move for Brooklyn? I mean, I think if there was an available salary dump move that they wanted to do, it would already be done. As far as the best available move, you're looking for urgency. So I don't see a player they would necessarily want to dump, but like the Houston Rockets could use room below the first apron now to go sign potentially another guard, right? That's the type of situation that you're looking for now, where somebody really suddenly needs flexibility, an injury pops up or something like that, and they need to clear off of a salary. Something along those lines is what you're looking for if you're the Nets.
Yeah, and I think we're now getting to the point where teams are kind of saying, we've got what we've got going into the season. This is going to be where we're at, unless some major injury pops up that they need to do something, which VanVleet could be, but we've talked in depth already why that's unlikely for the Rockets because of the apron concerns, the hard cap concerns. I don't have a lot of tradable players right now at the moment. So I think what happens with the Nets is just wait it out, because what you're going to have, like much like with the teams that are trying to create space under the apron, you're going to have teams that just straight want to avoid the tax. Yeah. Like the one I've got my on is Orlando with Jett Howard, like $5.7 million. They could very easily say, all right, we're ready to move on. He's never going to crack this wing rotation with Wagner and Bane in front of him and other guys they've signed. So let's move him. But that's again down the line. The Magic would rather hang on to guys right now than be caught shorthanded. But that would free up a roster spot, free up the ability for them to then go get some guys, gets them under the tax, and that's the way they go forward. So that's where I think we're going to see the Nets go.
What do you think about, because you mentioned Jett Howard, who was it that just went over yesterday, the day before, just went over the luxury tax by like $700,000?
The Heat.
The Heat, that's who. Okay, so we talked about situations like that where maybe somebody could be looking to clear salary just to drop below that luxury tax. But what do you think? You brought up Jet Howard, Nick Smith got waived by the Hornets today. He was only drafted a couple of years ago. We're starting to see, and I don't know if I am misremembering whether or not this was such a commonplace thing. Guys who are sometimes only one and change, but now 2 years into their NBA career, still on a rookie scale contract, first round picks getting moved on from. It feels to me anecdotally like that is happening more often. Do you think that is the case? And if so, why?
Yeah, I think there's a few factors in play. One is the apron stuff, right? If you're anywhere close to the apron and you need wiggle room and you're looking at, like, let's keep using Jed Howard as an example. If the Magic are like, it's just not going to happen here. We have too many other guys in front of him. I didn't mention like Tristan Da Silva's in front of him as well. Mm-hmm. Then we're just going to go with those guys. Then the other piece becomes for the Magic becomes that, like, all right, that gets us under the tax. Let's go. Let's move forward that way. And then the other part is, I think, like in Nick Smith's case, the Hornets are still like $14.5 million from the tax. So that's no form of concern for them. Yeah. But I think for them, it's he hasn't gotten there. We went out and drafted a bunch of other wings. Nick Smith is a guard, but an off-ball guard, so he falls in that wing category. And we got Con Knipple now. We still have Brandon Miller. They drafted Liam McNeely. They drafted Sion James. They re-signed Trey Mann. They traded for Colin Sexton. They've got all these guys, and it's like he's just not. We don't have room in the rotation for him. And I think the teams and agents and the player would ultimately rather have done is, all right, then cut him loose so he can go somewhere else and maybe break through somewhere else.
And it's important that players are able to get those opportunities to prove themselves and everything. But it does seem like those, even having what is typically seen as a team friendly, rookie scale contract, that's not a guarantee that you're going to keep your roster spot in today's NBA, because teams do cycle through players a bit more. Teams are having to go and get fresh talent coming in and have this constant churn. And if a guy is not working out, okay, then you're going to move on from him. I mean, we saw it with, Kobe Buffkin got salary dumped. The Lakers salary dumped Jalen Hood-Schifino. Now, that was in part to get Luka and everything, but still, we are seeing teams move on a bit quicker from these first-round picks if it doesn't feel like they're panning out, rather than just, that guy sat on the end of the bench for 4 years and then his contract expired and he just never worked.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, teams are just not going to wait forever now, especially like in the case of, again, Orlando. They're good. Like you don't need to continue to wait. And I don't want to speak like Jed Howard is 100% getting salary dumped. It's just sometimes you can see these things coming from a mile away, and that's just kind of where it looks.
He was a bit of a controversial pick when he was drafted, and just hasn't really worked out the way that they hoped it would. Do you think taking away a percentage of the Clippers' cap space for a number of years is a realistic punishment if they get found guilty? I like the thinking there, because I do think, Keith, particularly when we look at the collective bargaining agreement and the way that this is structured to impact the team's ability to build out their roster, rather than just penalize a team for overspending by targeting their pocketbook. When you've got a guy like Steve Ballmer who has a bulletproof wallet, effectively, you need to instead hurt him in someplace you actually can hurt him, and that's his ability to put together a team. I like the idea of a percentage of the cap space, maybe rather than a static number, because the cap will rise. Do you think that's feasible of a punishment for the NBA to enact?
No, but only because the Players Association would fight them so hard on that.
They don't want a team to not have access to resources that they're going to then go spend on players.
Yep, because then all you're kind of doing, the Players Association doesn't like when they take away draft picks. Second round picks, they're not going to get super fired up over, because it's the second rounder, and often those end up two-way contracts and other things anyway. They really don't like when if anything happens with a first round pick, because that takes away 2 years of guaranteed money for a player who gets drafted. And that's not good business, right? You have to remember, at the end of the day, the Players Association is focused on the players. doing what is best and getting the players the most money possible. So they would fight them on this. I think where we're going to kind of come to a bit of a middle ground here is you're going to see them, especially if they get into a place of voiding Kawhi's contract. I think it's going to come to a place where that contract is voided, but then the Clippers are left with some form of cap hold because they're not going to want to just be like, all right, here's $50 million to spend, go nuts. And it wouldn't be 50 because they are over the cap, but you know what I mean. And that's just not where they want to be.
I think they should go the other way. Rather than void Kawhi's contract, extend Kawhi's contract or make the whole thing count against the cap for another 2 years or something like that.
Man.
Because, I mean, there is a word, like, would it really be a punishment if Kawhi, especially if it was wiped off the cap?
I know where you're going.
Would it actually be a punishment if Kawhi Leonard's contract was just poof, gone off their team? They don't have Kawhi, but they also don't have his money on the books.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think they would be, I don't know about happy because you do lose Kawhi. And if you're going anywhere, you need him to go where you want to go. But I think they'd be okay with if Kawhi's contract was off the books because then they could just start moving forward.
All right, let's go here. Why did you flag this one? My 2K fired my GM in 2055. I didn't even know.
Yeah, can you play out that far in 2K?
I had no idea.
Like I don't play 2K, so like somebody, like that's crazy. And I guess my other question is like LeBron still playing?
He probably is. He probably is.
Like, I mean, it's 30 years from now. I mean, it'd be what, in his 70s? Like,
you literally have the majority of the league is guys who haven't even been born yet. I mean, that's crazy.
I mean, like, how does that even? I guess it's all just created players. I don't know. That's crazy.
I have no idea. I don't know. All right. Mamadou said a lot of the Lakers players have player options for next year or for next season. Realistically, how many players would they be able to pay? Yeah, there's you messaged me yesterday when we were talking about DeAndre Ayton over on Lakers Nation, and it depends. Are they a cap space team? Are they not? That's obviously going to be a big factor in all of these conversations. But the range of outcomes is wildly huge, wide as can be for the Lakers. They could be a cap space team. They could be a well over the cap team. It's going to depend on those cap holds, those player options. What do they do with some of these guys? There's a lot of optionality. Let's say Rob Pelinka's favorite word on that Lakers roster for next season. And certainly the player options will be part of it. The biggest piece though, it's what happens with LeBron James.
Yeah, that will be what ultimately determines whether the Lakers are over the cap or under the cap. LeBron, if he is, I'm going to play and I'm going to play for the Lakers, it's not going to be for much less than what he makes now. So that's it. You're over the cap, but move forward with whatever. If LeBron retires or LeBron's like, I'm leaving, then Austin Reeves opts out, which we know Austin Reeves is going to opt out. Then it becomes, all right, well, then it's really about what happens with Ayton and Smart. Where do those guys go? And if you're a Laker fan, your best hopes for two reasons that those two guys have really great seasons is, one, that's good for you because that means the team was better. If those two guys play really well, most likely, and it increases the likelihood that they will both opt out, which then creates that ability for some flexibility on re-signing those guys and the like. Now, I guess you could be in a world where if like LeBron is back and then Austin Reeves is re-signing, you're staying over the cap, you'd rather have those guys on the smaller numbers than opting out. But it's non-bird rights either way with those guys unless you're using cap space or an exception to re-sign them. So, yeah, we'll see
what's the percentage raise on non-bird again?
20%, 120% of the previous year.
Right. Okay.
So very minimal raise for those guys. Like Ayton, that works out to be roughly 10.5 million in that range.
That's a scenario where if you were just doing the cap math and it was okay, 10 million is not going to get it done. Is there a way we stay above the cap, but below the first apron, and then use a mid-level, and then we can get the what mid-level probably be about 15 or so next year?
Yeah, a little over 15.
Right.
Yep.
So that's where it gets, a little complicated with all that. What's your opinion on what's going to happen? Did you see Rob Pelinka's comments on LeBron yesterday?
Yeah, just that he'd like him to retire as a Laker.
Right. And that was with the context of the extension and what,
Sure.
would the Lakers offer him an extension? It was just, and then he offered that answer.
Yeah, I think I believe that. I believe they'd like him to retire as a Laker. I think it's very interesting. Brian Windhorst is the one who repeats this repeatedly, is that this is the first time LeBron is playing without a contract or a player option for the next season in I think his entire career. So there's it is very unknown with this. I think I think there's a world where LeBron walks away at the end of the season, but I don't know. And I'm not being a jerk about it. Find it hard to believe this is not going to be LeBron when he does retire. It's going to be, and it should be, a year long, let's celebrate him every time he goes on the road somewhere. Let's, let them, pay tribute and all that stuff. I mean, he's one of the, it's him or MJ at this point for the best player of all time. And, that's an argument for a whole other time, but I just find it hard to believe he's just going to up and retire. So I really don't know. Let's see, what happens with this one. But yeah, I don't know. People keep saying maybe he goes back to Cleveland. Maybe. I really don't know what to expect.
There was a report that came, I believe it was yesterday, that suggested that LeBron flies in the face of what Rich Paul had put out after LeBron picked up his player option, and that was that they didn't ask for an extension and the Lakers didn't offer an extension. Both sides are good with it, just going to, all right, we'll be a free agent and then we'll see what happens from there. Report came out that actually LeBron wanted an extension, and the reason why they issued the statement they did was because LeBron was mad that he didn't get an extension, where he was questioning whether or not his future aligned with the Lakers and all that. What has the ring of truth there? Do you buy? I mean, because the two things are directly opposed to each other. He either wanted an extension or he did not want an extension. Where do you think that actually landed?
Yeah, my guess is it was, if they came and said, hey, we'll give you what we've been giving you, which is, either a 1+1 or a 2+1, let's go. He probably says, great, let's do it. At the max, obviously, or very close to it. He probably says, let's go. I think it's, my guess is what happened was the Lakers didn't want to do that, and LeBron knew it. And then that's why there was no extension. Because it was, rather than saying, hey, I turned down this, or the Lakers saying we only offered X to him, that's where it is. So I think it becomes very, much there. That's where it's, all right, we all kind of know where this is headed and let's go. And I think they're both very comfortable at this point of, let's play this year to year, but not through the player option game. Let's really play year to year now on kind of true, more one season type contracts.
Yeah, I think that's what we're going to be looking at here moving forward. It'll be interesting to watch what happens with that entire situation. All right, we're going to get to some more questions in just a moment. Need to give a shout out to our presenting sponsor, and that is Sleeper. They do a fantastic job. I made some selections here. One of them already paid. It was the easy one. More than 0.5 passing yards. Rough game last night for the Cardinals, but Kyler Murray did get that one done for me. It's not likely, but I've got Jackson Dart, new quarterback for the Giants, finding Malik Neighbors in the end zone. I've got Neighbors coming up with a TD, and then Dak Prescott, tough sledding with the Cowboys. I'm going to say less than 242.5 passing yards. No CeeDee Lamb. That is going to be tough. They're going to need a lot of George Pickens there to get it done. But if you agree with me, you disagree with me, you guys can go check out the Sleeper app. They do an absolutely fantastic job, and you have a chance to win 1,000 times your cash on daily fantasy football. Football's never been more exciting than it is right now, so you can pick on stats for the stars that you like, just like I did here: touchdowns, passing yards, whatever you'd like. Get your picks right, and you can win big. Use promo code CAPSPACE, and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details, and check out that link in the description down below. I love that promo code CAPSPACE. We got to make sure we keep using that. All right, let's get into a few more of our questions, our comments coming in here. And I lost my place. There it is. Okay. not really a on the floor question, but do teams hire cybersecurity people? I would assume,
Yeah.
and I don't know, I would assume the answer is yes,
Yep.
but what degree is going to vary from team to team.
100%. Yeah, they definitely do. I mean, they you have to think of these teams are billion-dollar businesses. They operate like any other billion-dollar business with the people they hire. They just also happen to hire basketball people as well, including the players and coaches and scouts and everything else. But yeah, they definitely have cybersecurity people there, as well as the league has people who oversee the league office as well as the teams as a whole to help protect them also.
All right, let's go here. Paul George says he's still elite. Do we still believe that?
When he plays.
When he plays. When he plays,
Yeah.
he's still very good.
Yep.
All right, let's go here. When LeBron retires, who's a good person to pair with Luka? Other than the obvious, like Giannis and Jokic, I think Luka needs a Scottie Pippen-like player. I think that.
Well, I mean, that's one of the best players of all time.
Right.
So.
I think the general archetype that, without going into a specific player, but yes, that he's naming. He said, don't go into a Giannis or Jokic, but hey, Scottie Pippen, right? But that a guy who is a high-level defensive, like honestly, it's weird to think of. But like a healthy Kawhi type play, like that style, if we want to replace Scottie Pippen, that type of player, like could Scotty Barnes at some point become that? And that's, an actual, a more available option or a more acquirable option than say like a Giannis or someone, that type of wing, switchy defensively that could still shoot a bit from the outside. And Scotty Barnes, just name it throughout there. Maybe someday he becomes something like that. But that style of player, I think, is the ideal best fit.
Yeah, or like Mikal Bridges.
Yes, Bridges is a
type of guy. If you're going like a little bit of a step down, hey, as weird as it was, because he's a little too old for looking forward now. But like Anthony Davis would have been really good with Luka. Right,
I know
they were paired together. Jaren Jackson Jr. would probably be awesome with Luka.
Evan Mobley, yep.
Yeah, Evan Mobley. Yeah, Evan Mobley would be outstanding. Yeah, I go a little bit bigger. But I agree with the premise of a defensive minded wing. I mean, these guys are they're lower end people that like aren't going to get people all jumping up and down excited. But guys like Tamani Kamara or Dyson Daniels would be really good. There, because especially if Daniels can shoot it a little bit more, like that'd be a pretty good pickup too.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. That type of player. It can't be, you don't want it to be anyway, someone who is defensively deficient. That's not that you want somebody who can mitigate some of Luka's weaknesses while highlighting those strengths. And so that's what you're looking for.
Defense and shooting.
Yep.
Like that's it's weird that the way the question is framed, because I get what he's saying. When LeBron retires, LeBron and Luka are not, we said this at the time of the trade, I think the night of the trade, they're not actually all that great of a pairing together, because they're similar in the way they play, where they're kind of on-ball guys who are going to shoot a lot of jump shots, and either one of them, especially at this point in his career, are really good defenders or really good off-ball guys. So like that's where I tend to go like very different from LeBron.
I would argue LeBron has a much higher ceiling as an off-ball player than Luka does. I think LeBron, and as a cutter, he can be phenomenal. I think that's part of what makes LeBron so great, and part of what I'm excited to see this season is, and we saw it a bit last year already, is that LeBron has been this on-ball, I'm going to create everything, I'm going to do everything, not always out of his desire to do those things, but out of necessity. He's had to do those things. But that doesn't mean he can't play other roles. Like he can do anything on the basketball court that he wants to do, and that's part of the greatness of LeBron. So I'm excited to see how that's all going to fit in, and how that comes together. What is the exact role that he's going to be in? How often does he have the ball compared to Luka? But certainly, LeBron, I think, has a much higher ceiling as an off-ball player than Luka. Luka, when he's off ball, tends to just be off ball, and he'll go kind of be a decoy in a corner or something like that. LeBron, I think, has a lot more utility as a cutter and then on the defensive side of the ball as an organizer out there. So I'm really curious to see how all that comes together. But ideally, you want a hyper athletic, super switchy defensive guy who can shoot, and that's not exactly what you would consider LeBron at this stage of his career.
LeBron can be an absolutely devastating cutter, and I think we're going to see more of that this year. And I think you'll also see sets designed for that, because I think what's going to be really interesting is JJ's now had, I don't know, what are we, 7-8 months by the time we get started the season to really get into figuring out some stuff.
Yeah.
And you can only do so much. We talk about this every year. It's trade deadline, whether it's Luka trade or any other trade. It's only so much of changing who you are as a team that you can do. And one of the things that I find really interesting is like with Luka, it's in that there's so much you had to be tempted to change, and then you just kind of run with it the way it is now. So it's really interesting. Somebody said they're surprised ESPN still has LeBron as a top 10 player. I don't why. He's still awesome. Like,
yeah.
I don't get it.
I mean, he was second team All NBA, sixth in MVP voting. He put up, what was it, 24, 8 and 8, basically 24-7, like right along with his career. No, he's still awesome. He's awesome.
Still really good. Like, I don't. Yeah. And he probably drops a couple spots if like Tatum's healthy because they didn't rank him. Maybe Kyrie, like Tyrese Halliburton, he probably drops into like 12, 13 range. But yeah, LeBron's still great.
He's absolutely fantastic. And you bring up a good point about trying to change things on the fly and what that's going to mean for JJ Redick and all that this year. Thomas Isolo, which I'm hoping I'm reading the pronunciation guide because I know I butcher his name every time.
You're right, Isolo. Yeah.
Okay.
Or Isolo, but you're close. Yeah.
It's so bad. But I was in Memphis the first night he took over. And it was against the Lakers. And that was one of the first things he said. Everybody, that was the big question from the Memphis reporters was, hey, what are you going to change? And he just went, I don't have time to change anything. Like, I'm not changing stuff. He's like, there's no time in the season to do that. And he had more time, obviously, than JJ did, but it's difficult to do things on the fly to make significant changes. So we'll see how JJ puts things together this year.
Yeah.
All right, let's go here. Can the Orlando Magic win the East?
Sure.
I wouldn't say it's likely, but sure they can.
But yeah, they're gonna be right there, right there in the next group of teams behind the Cavs and the Knicks. Mm-hmm. Sure.
Let's go. M. Wesley said, "I'm so ready for the NBA season. Even the NBA officiating points of emphasis videos got me hyped up. I saw the video come out. I have not had an opportunity to watch it. What were the points of it? Did you see it yet? I guess I should.
Yeah, I didn't watch it yet either. Okay. I bookmarked the tweet so I can look at it later.
Okay. I will have to go back and take a look and see what.
I know something was to do with landing space.
Okay.
I don't know what it was.
Can we have a point of emphasis be don't allow Draymond Green to yell in officials' faces anymore? That's my biggest.
I think that ship has sailed
right now in the league. It is almost to the level of Keith. You watch soccer. When a team dislikes a call and the whole team just swarms the referee.
Yeah.
And they're like in his face. That is one of the most irritating things as a fan watching. That's Draymond yelling at refs. Is the same for me. I'm right there with it.
Well, and then it's like the worst too, because then like somebody else does far less and they get a T, and it's like, come on. But
why are players more about getting the bag now compared to 30, 40 years ago, where championships were the main drive?
So I flagged this.
Accurate characterization?
I flagged this in part because 30 years ago was 1995.
I think 30 years ago was like the 70s.
Yeah, that's what it feels like at times, but it was 1995. Players were 100% about getting the bag in 1995. They were 100% about getting the bag in 1985. If we go back the 40 years ago part. So I think that's a back in my day kind of thing happening here. And I just don't think that's accurate.
Walking to school uphill both ways in the snow.
Yeah, exactly. That's go home for lunch.
As far as players being more about getting the bag now or anything like that, like I think players, when we talk about players getting paid and then switching teams and things of that nature, like that is, I think we're seeing more player movement after contracts are signed. You don't see as many players getting to free agency, but I don't think that means players don't want to win championships. I think they absolutely do want to win championships. There's also, I think, more. I mean, as the NBA has grown, salaries have grown with it, and so that means there's more opportunities for not just a really good paycheck, but generational wealth to be made as an NBA player too. So that's also going to be a factor when you can take care of not just yourself and your immediate family, but your entire family for the foreseeable, for years and generations to come. That's also going to be a factor.
Yep.
I would think, although I'm not in that position, so I can't say for sure.
Yeah, I mean, somebody wants to give us millions to do front office show. I'm certainly not going to turn it down.
Exactly. So, exactly. Yeah. But that will not diminish my drive to win a championship, Keith. I can tell you that.
It won't diminish mine. I'll be here every Friday yelling into the mic.
When are we going to hear about a Grimes contract? I mean, October 1st is the deadline to pick up that qualifying offer, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, that's for both him and Jonathan Kuminga. October 1st, they're going to be that's really it, because those teams don't have any real reason to extend that. The team can extend that if they want to, but there's no real reason to do it. There also was Grimes at Media Day. This came up. There was a lot of reporting around Quentin Grimes doesn't plan to be at Media Day or to travel with the team overseas. Quentin Grimes is a free agent.
Yeah, he's not on the team.
Yeah, he's not on the team. So they're not going to be there. When you're not on the team, you're not going to be there. So, and somebody came back at me on, I think it might have actually been on Blue Sky. That's like, well, actually, since he's on the qualifying offer, he's not. The qualifying offer is just a contract offer that makes the player a restricted free agent. He's not on the team. But October 1st, that is something will get done by then with both Grimes and Kuminga.
All right. Rob Optionality Palenka, how do you guys grade his offseason moves from 1 to 5? 5 being the best. Ozempic, Zion, him staying healthy is good for the NBA. Yeah, I mean, we talked a bit about Zion. Yeah. As far as Palenka, I mean, I thought, not surrendering any significant assets or anything to add the pieces that he did. Did he make a big home run swing where you go, okay, championship is coming, start planning a parade? No. Do the Lakers still have moves I think they need to make to get up to that next tier of teams? Yeah, I think they do. But given the options they had available to them and all that, I think they did about as well as could hope. So I would give him a 4 out of 5. I don't think he bumped the team up to championship contender, but I can't complain about any of the moves he made either. I think they were all very solid moves. They were, in terms of risk reward, they were smart decisions, and we'll see if they ultimately pay off. But there wasn't anything where you said, oh man, he shouldn't have done this or shouldn't have done that. Everything I thought was pretty reasonable and well thought out from what we saw this summer.
Yeah, I think if we're using a 5-point scale where then 3 is average, above average, good. Just again, given they didn't have a lot that they could work with. So I think they were in a spot where they did well with the limited tools that they had available. I think getting a starting center in Ayton is really good. Mm-hmm. I'm a little less sold on the Marcus Smart pickup than others seem to be, only because he hasn't looked like the same guy over the last couple of seasons. Right. So that part I'm a little less sold on. Jake LaRavia, I think, was a pretty solid pickup. And then, clearly got Luka to extend. So that's huge. And, and not that was always kind of going to happen, but it did get done. So yeah, 4's fine with me. And then now let's see. And they've still got tradable contracts and draft picks when they need to do something down the line.
Yeah, I talked about it a little bit last night with Daniel Starkan on Lakers Nation, that what they've done, part of the positive piece of what they've done is the retention of their assets. When we talk about, what is Dalton Connect worth, future first round pick, that kind of stuff. It's not that they've got a treasure trove of assets, but they didn't surrender those now. So part of the positive is that there is the potential for a future move to come. If that future move doesn't come, then that'll be a negative. That'll be we'll look back and we'll say, oh, well, because the future move didn't come, that's tied into this. I'm giving them credit for a future move or having the ability to execute that, but now they do need to execute that move when the optionality, right? They have to have the optionality to do that and when that move becomes available.
Yep.
All right, let's go here. Thoughts on Ishbia coming to Bombers' defense, saying he's a great guy and he didn't do it. While on ESPN, Aldridge reported for The Athletic that owners like and respect Bomber and hope he didn't do it.
Well, of course they hope he didn't do it,
right?
Nobody wants to say that one of
he didn't do it.
Yeah, I hope he didn't do it too, or that 30 of the there's only 30 primary governors, primary owners, whatever you want to call it in the league, nobody wants to believe that one of them was cheating. And he is well respected in the league. A lot of people like the fact that he is trying to be super competitive. He could have very easily bought the Clippers and then said, we're content. We're in the second biggest market in the league, that we're never going to be the biggest team in the market. So we can just kind of keep going forward, doing okay, and just being this. And instead, I think people respect the fact that he's like, we're going for it. We're going to try to, establish ourselves. And I mean, we've talked about it multiple times. It would take decades of the Clippers winning while the Lakers turn into an absolute dumpster fire for anything to ever flip in LA. But it's not going to happen that way. So now they're just in a spot where it's there. I didn't hear all the Ishbia comments, but I mean, I don't know.
He said he's a good guy and he likes him and all that stuff. But
okay, sure.
It doesn't surprise me. It's like when you go and look at most of the people who are defending the Clippers right now, who are running around online on social media, they're Clippers fans. So is that a surprise in any way? No, who you relate to and all of that is going to change your perspective on things. If you're a Clippers fan right now, you don't want to believe that your franchise was cheating and doing this stuff. So you're going to defend that. If you are an NBA owner, you're going to relate to other NBA owners, and you're gonna hope that this wasn't going the way that it looks like it went, and hoping that this was all not the case. And he's had personal interactions, obviously, with Steve Ballmer as well, and so there's that tie there. So it doesn't surprise me. It would surprise me more if it was the other way. If Matt Ishbia said, "Oh, he's guilty," and they should drop the hammer on them.
Yeah, throw the book at him. Yeah, that would have been legitimately shocking.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's go here. Pete. Hey, Pete. Said Trevor and Keith, hope all is well. Who's your biggest sleeper player and team that is not being talked about enough to make some real noise this year? Keith, I think we have already mentioned them on this show. They've already come up. And for me, it's the Orlando Magic. I think the Orlando Magic are my sleeper team that could make some real noise this year. And along those lines, if I were to pick a player from the Orlando Magic that I think isn't being talked about enough, I said last year was going to be his true breakout year, but then injury derailed it. It's Paolo Banchero. Paolo Banchero, I think, could be in line for a big year. I thought he was getting ready for a big year last year, and I'm excited to see what he's going to bring this year.
Should not qualify as a sleeper because they've been really good the last couple years, but Minnesota feels like they're being slept on a little bit in the West.
That's a good call.
Feels like anytime the top of the West is discussed, it's like, oh yeah, and the Timberwolves. And he's clearly not a sleeper player, but I think Anthony Edwards is going to put himself in the MVP conversation this year. I think he's going to have a great year. I think the Wolves are going to be really good again. Would not shock me again if they're in the West Finals, because I think they are. I just think it's a team that complements each other really well, and I love Anthony Edwards. So
that's a good call. Good call. Favorite piece of memorabilia you guys own? Mine is very quick and simple. Is behind me. For my 40th birthday, my sister got me a signed Lakers basketball from the year that I was born, signed by the whole team. So
that's awesome.
That's up there.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Mine is probably this guy. It's a signed Jason Tatum.
Oh,
Funko
nice.
Pop. My bosses at Spot Track got me that a couple years ago. But there's also this. It's an American League Baseball. I don't know if people can see it.
Oh, yeah.
And why this one's special to me is I was at people know I'm a Yankees fan. I have a Yankees hat. I still have it, but it is like, it will fall apart if I try to put it on anymore. This thing was worn every day for probably 7, 8, 10 years. I don't know. And Joe Girardi was not playing that night, but he was out in the outfield warming guys up with some long toss. And he said, hey, I want you to, he like looked up and he's like, that's a real hat right there. Because it was so gross and grimy. And he threw me that ball. So that's always been special to me. Yeah.
That's a cool story. All right. Well, that's a good one. Let's go here. What's more likely, LeBron plays for the Cavs next year or the Lakers? I would say if you're going to pick an individual team, the Lakers are going to be the favorite.
Agreed.
I saw the ESPN poll, or the ESPN vote, though, had the field over him being a Laker next year.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably also fair, but I would pick the Lakers over the Cavs. It's just easier to happen for a lot of reasons.
All right, let's go here. Looking at their salary, is it a do it or break it up? Is this a make or break season for Cleveland, given how expensive this team is?
They'll depth 4 guys, Mitchell, Mobley, Garland, and Allen will not be together unless they make a real title run. And whenever I say that, people are like, oh, so they have to win the title. Not win the title, not even necessarily be in the finals, but at least in the East Finals, in a competitive East Finals. So you were in the mix to get there. That needs to happen. Otherwise, they're going to start moving guys.
Yeah, I agree. And I do think that their placement right now, they are the favorite to come out of the East. I do think that's correct. I think they've got a good shot. They're a good team. Are you not so much?
Them or the Knicks. I think they're like even for me at the top of the conference.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. I could see that. Yeah. Who would win in an arm wrestling match? I don't know. We haven't arm wrestled before.
Yeah, I haven't arm wrestled anybody in a number of years.
Yeah.
So. I don't know. Next time we're together, we'll do it.
We'll have to do it. I'll tell you what would lose. Our muscles and ligaments would.
Yeah. And anybody who watches that would lose as well.
Oh my gosh. Who wins in a game of horse between you both? The viewers again would lose, but
the only thing I can still do on a basketball court is shoot and pass. Well, shoot mostly. I can pass a little still, but like I am like a fully stationary player. Depends. You're definitely in better shape and probably way more athletic than me. So if you start pulling out like foolish, like under, up and under layups and all kinds of stuff, you're going to beat me. But if it's just a straight shooting contest, I feel pretty good.
That was mine was a go up on, particularly on the left side, because I'm left-handed at basketball. I would go up on the left side of the basket and then go under and then scoop and reverse on the other side. That was one of my favorites in horse. But I was my school's junior high 3-point shootout champion way back
noted
in the day. But I have not shot a basketball in a while. In fact, I've been looking into getting a hoop and putting it in my yard, because I want to shoot around a lot more. I used to do it all the time and just play constantly, but
I'll be completely honest. I have not shot a ball in probably a year now. Like I don't have a hoop anymore, and I'm rarely anywhere to play. But that's not true. It's probably been less than that. But I don't play a lot anymore.
Stu the Studio Cat checking in. That must mean that it's time to wrap things up and go get him his lunch.
Almost time.
He's like, come on, man. I'm hungry. All right. Everybody, thank you for joining the show. We appreciate all of you for coming in here. And Keith, this is our...
Somebody said I made a half-court shot. That is true. I did make a half-court shot in high school to win a game.
Did you?
That did happen. Yeah, that did
happen. A game, no less.
Yep.
Okay, yep. That's. I was gonna. So I had my claim to fame for a bit when I was in, I think maybe it was junior high. I made 5 half-court shots in a row. But you did it. I'm talking, but that was in practice. You did it in a game to win a game. That
it was
epic
just
movie moment.
Right place at the right time, where I was just kind of like the ball came to me and you threw one up and it went in. Here's the funny thing. I don't know how many years later it was. I was coaching at my high school. I was an assistant coach there, and a kid did it in a state tournament game, which was even cooler. A kid on our team did it. So
on yours, did you shoot it? Was it a
it was a real shot. Like I had just enough time to catch it at the it was like right behind half court and could get up like a real shot.
Nice.
So yep.
I like it. Yeah. I like it. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining the show. We appreciate all of you. Good, nice little scheduled or unscheduled nonsense, I suppose, to close things out.
Perfect.
Till next time. See ya and stay safe.